I'm really proud. Here comes another rock star, my goodness. Diane Wilson, 1L. Diane Wilson is a fourth-generation fisherwoman from the Texas Gulf Coast. This mother of five has become legendary for her struggles to stop chemical companies from dumping devastating toxins into the Gulf Coast. As chronicled in our new book, An Unreasonable Woman, a true story of a shrimpers, politicos, polluters, and the fight for Seadrift, Texas. Diane is also founding member of Code Pink. She was recently on a water and salt-only hunger strike in solidarity with the Guantanamo prisoners. Earlier this month, she was arrested after chaining herself to the White House fence in a Code Pink demonstration, urging the president to close the Guantanamo prison. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Diane Wilson.
Well, howdy all y'all. It's real good to be here. I guess y'all didn't know me and Brian are cousins. I'm just a cousin from Texas. I wanted to tell you, I know I have, over the years, I've been an environmental activist for 25 years, but I've been a shrimper on the Texas Gulf Coast probably for 50 some odd years. And so I still kind of see myself as a fisherwoman or a shrimper. And I know recently I was, I got arrested for, and I'm looking real carefully for Secret Service. Seriously, yeah. Because I got a trial in a month, and we're arguing over the fence. But I was on the White House fence. And so anyway, I got arrested, and while I was in jail, it's real different when you get arrested with a bunch of people and when you get arrested by yourself. And for some odd reason, I tend to do lonesome actions, and I get thrown in the can, and the people in there have no idea who I am. And if you're in with a bunch of women, they're always real curious who you are. And when you get booked and when you go pre-trial, is they ask a lot of personal questions, and the girls sit real close to that booth to get to hear everybody's story. And when they asked who I was, I said I was a shrimper. I was a 64-year-old shrimper. And I noticed all these women just kept looking at me and looking at me. And I got a real strange, but a certain respect from them. And I was, and I thought it was because, they thought I was a shrimper. And right before I got called up to go to trial, I had one of these women, and the majority of the girls in there were for prostitution. And she looked at me and she said, "Are you really a stripper?" And I'm like, I get that a lot. They really do. Anyway, so I just wanted you to know that I came here because I was invited, and I really didn't know what I was supposed to talk about or how long, and because I talked to, I got a lot of different issues. I talked with workers on the Texas Gulf Coast, I talked with oystermen, I talked with people on environmental conferences, and I've been with farmers, and so I looked on the heading where I was supposed to speak with Kathy Kelly and Brian there, and it said planning strategies, and I just wanted you to know, I don't strategize, and I don't plan. I really do. I want to be real frank with y'all. I kind of shoot from the hip, and I have never had a plan in my life. Actually, it works, and I blame it all because I was a shrimper, born and raised on the Texas Gulf Coast. I've been on a shrimp boat since I was 8 years old, and And to be a shrimper, and by the way, my family was raised holy rollers. They were holy rollers and believed in snake handling and the devil and raising the dead and that type of stuff. So I had a very keen sense of the unseen world. So I sincerely, and I blame it a lot on my upbringing, is that I have a strong intention that comes from my stomach. And it comes from my heart, and I don't believe I have a thought in my head. I remember one time, sincerely, I ain't joking. I remember one time I was with a bunch of women, and we were in this canyon in California, and I mean they were unreasonable women. Matter of fact, Medea was one of those ladies. That's where I got to know Medea in California in a canyon. But anyway, so you know, they had all these California techniques to how to simmer down the chatter in your head. And they asked me, how did I simmer down the chatter in my head? And I said, I really don't have a thought in my head. I really don't. I just kind of go with instinct, because if you're a shrimper, you're thinking like the shrimp. Or if you're fishing, you're really trying to put yourself in their place. And I know there was a shrimper down when I was running the fish house. There was a shrimper, and every evening, to get himself prepared for the next day's shrimping, you know, if there would be a pile of shrimp on the back deck, he would lay on top of the shrimp and spread out and just kind of meditate on those shrimp. And it's like, tell me where you're going tomorrow. and so really, that's the way I grew up. And that's the way I lead my life. It's instinctual. It's the emotion of it. And so I am actually, I know people really think I'm a really big troublemaker. They think I have been this way my entire life, but actually I was so shy when I was little that I would hide underneath the bed, and they would have to pull me out to even meet people. And I took speech lessons for all the way to the 6th grade, because I did not like talking, and I did not like people. I was kind of antisocial, and I guess being a shrimper on the bay, that kind of suited me, because you're out there by yourself. And I ran a boat by myself, because if you had a man on board your boat, they tend to take control. So so else that'd be a dead man, or else I wouldn't have a man. So anyway, actually I didn't start doing my activism until I was 40 years old, and it was an environmental issue, and actually it was a newspaper article, and it was a tiny little bit of information, and it was the first time, they call it the Toxic Release Inventory. That's a federal law, and that says industry has to say what they're emitting, what they're putting in the air, what they're putting in the water, what they're putting in the landfills, and lo and behold, my tiny little county, the whole county was 15,000 people, very rural. I'm like 3 hours from Houston, 3 hours from San Antonio. I'm in the boondocks, and seriously, my hometown is so far in the boondocks that do y'all know Bonnie and Clyde? They used to hide out in my hometown. It's a very good place to get lost. And so basically, I found out that my tiny little county had the most waste in the entire United States. Half the waste in Texas was in my county. And that was the first time I'd ever heard of it. It'd never been in the paper, never been in the news. County commissioners never talked about it. Industry never talked about it. It was just a landmine that dropped. And I acted totally out of character. And all I did was pick up the phone and ask for a hearing. And sometimes It is as simple as that. I've had a lot of people over the years when I go to environmental conferences, and they're like, well, how do you start this? You know, and they think you got to have a big environmental group or a big Vets for Peace group. They think you got to have the funding. They think you got to have the administration, the planning, and I'm telling you, you don't have to have any of that. All you have to do is sometimes it is simple as picking up the phone, and because I sincerely believe that all of us have a destiny. It's not just a few special people out there, and you know, and you can pick them out. I mean, there's two right there. It's like, don't tell me that isn't destiny that calls. And every one of us has a destiny, and it's just if we will recognize that is what it is. I know I think it was Joseph Campbell, he said, the purpose of life is to find within the resource of character to follow your destiny. And that's what we have to do. And so that one day, I totally stepped out of character, made a phone call, and all I did was actually ask for a meeting just to talk about us being number one. In America, we know, is an industrialized nation, and probably the most industrialized nation on the face of the earth. So it's like we're ranking worldwide, and nobody wants to talk about it. And so I made one phone call. I didn't know the bank president. I'd never talked to the mayor. I'd never talked to city council. I never went to county commissioner's court. And within 2 days, I had the bank president down at the fish house, the stinky old fish house, and here was a man in a black sedan and wearing a three-piece suit, and he wanted to know if I was a renegade group fixing to roast the industry alive. And it was like the backlash was immediate. It was immediate. And the thing of it is, it eventually boils down to this. And it's the same thing all of y'all are facing. All of us are facing right now. It is the forces that are against us are appalling. I don't even have to start enumerating all the ways that they are so powerful. And yet, this is our home. And so either you give it up, pat yourself on the back, because I know there is enough people here that have done enough work that you can go home at night and say, I think I've done enough. I really have. I can pat myself on the shoulder. It's like I have been out there day after day. I have been to these conferences. I have been on these demonstrations. And it's like, I really can give up now, because you know, we know how bad it is. You know, we know we're never going to be enough. And so I should feel good about myself and just, you know, and go to sleep and maybe turn on the tube or go for a little vacation, because I damn sure deserve it. But the thing of it is that when we do, what you give up is your home, you give up your life, you give up your children's life, your grandchildren's life, you give up your freedom. And it's not really, you know, it doesn't hit you over the head with a hammer. So that's why we make those choices. But what I did when I realized what, you know, because I'm from Texas, and it's not like being from Vermont. It's like totally. I mean, people ask me all the time, it's like, why in the Sam Hill don't you leave Texas?
Yeah.
It's like, are you still living in that place? You know, and it's like, that's my home. It's like my land, that they can't live. I mean, it can't leave. And so you remain there. That is my home. And so what I ended up doing was, I just drew a line in the sand in my head mentally. I drew a line in the sand and said, they are not crossing over no more. Yeah. And the thing is, is where the tricky part of no plan comes in, because I had not a clue what I was going to do to stop him. I had not a clue. But I tell you what, it's because I'm an instinctual person, and it's a different energy than your head. That is a rational, logical, and it never goes the places this place goes. And so I, off the top of my head, off the top of my stomach, I thought of this idea. I mean, it just bingo. And I remember the first time I drew that line in the sand, and you know, the people saying, "Oh, just give it up. It's a sweetheart deal. It's, you know, governor, the president, and all the county commissioners, everybody." It's like, you're not going to win it. So I said I was going to do a hunger strike. And that's where I first started doing these hunger strikes. I mean, off the top of my head, a hunger strike. And they got the biggest kick out of me saying I was going to do a hunger strike. They're like, "We don't do hunger strikes in Texas." That's something we do down here, you know. We might get a gun and aim it at people, or we might run over them with our truck, but we dang sure don't do hunger strikes. And the thing is I'm just like, no, I'm gonna do it. And I had not the first clue how to do a hunger strike. I hadn't read up on Gandhi. I didn't know who had did it. I didn't know the history of it. I just knew you don't eat. And I also knew that they can't control it. That was the main thing, is they cannot control it. It's like, because we know it's not a level playing field out there, right? It is damn sure not a level playing field. And so I figured the only thing they could not control, and that was a hunger strike. And also, I was not real popular with folks down there. And so they were, and so if you don't have money, you don't have people, you don't have media, it's like, at least you got yourself. And so that's what you can do when you got nothing. You can do a hunger strike. And it's a different energy. It's a totally different energy, and it does not work like the logical, rational planning strategy, and you have to, on a certain level, submit to it. It's this release, a surrender, and you let loose of your expectations. You let loose of your plan, because we, with our little brains intact, we think we have to control the whole thing. And we know we are not stupid. This is not a stupid audience. I can look at you and I can tell, y'all don't look real stupid to me. And so you know there is a lot more going on than what you just see. You know it. You know the spirit. You know Brian Wilson and Nancy, the angelic one over there. You know what she's got. And so what I'm saying is you have to trust it. You have to give it room to move. And so that is just what I'm asking y'all, is trust your heart. Trust your gut instincts, because every once in a while, I know every single one of y'all have had an idea, and this idea was so scary, it made you real sick at your stomach. You're like, oh no, I don't know if I should do that one. And generally what we do is we get a little meeting together and we go talk about it, and we damn sure kill it dead as a doornail. Or else you sleep on it overnight, and then you wake up and say, thank God I didn't do that action. But the thing is you have to trust that there is more than what you can see. That there is more of an unseen truth out there. You surrender to it and you do the action. And so that's what I'm asking you, is just do it. Okay, that's it. say. And it says, on July 8th, 30,000 prisoners began a hunger strike in California. And please take a moment of silence for Billy Sill, age 32, who died July 22nd on the hunger strike in Corn Can State Prison in California, supporting the 5 core demands of Pelican Bay. So, yes, if we don't mind giving Billy Sill silence. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, please.